So today we'll look at unstructured data in Jira. We all have it. Let's try to recognize it. Let's try to sort it out. And if we cannot change it, you know the saying, if you cannot beat it, transform it and analyze it, of course. So unstructured data. It's just not that into traditional databases. But traditional databases are really good at keeping the data together and providing you the ability to analyze it fast. So we kind of need to adjust that unstructured data, transform it so that it fits our columns. So the plan for today is to look at the unstructured data in Jira. We'll look at a couple of examples. We'll look at also the tools in eazyBI to transform the data so we can analyze it. And we'll go on a data hunting adventure. The data in our Jira, for the most part, is actually pretty structured because we have our attributes organized into fields. For the most part, they are clearly defined in structure, format, and data type. So you have the numeric fields that can only hold the numeric values. You also have, for example, estimated budget that is in a numeric value, and also the real budget that is in the same format, so they can be compared with each other. That's all good if you do that, and that speaks consistency of your Jira. However, from time to time, some unstructured data may find its way into your Jira. One example could be that the summary is used to keep a lot of information. For example, here it's overloaded with 3 separate attributes. We see what kind of work it is, it's internal work, for which client, and what is the duration for this issue. And I can understand why to use a summary like this. Like, everything is written there. You don't need to hide it in any other custom fields, right? Just for the project managers, everything in the summary. Yeah, let's move on. The other field that's often mistreated is the labels field. The labels field is really accepting. It will not judge you on the values that you provided. It will accept everything. If your Jira admin says no more custom fields, it's enough, then yeah, just put it in the labels field. So yeah, it gets overloaded as well. And of course, to analyze it, we in eazyBI would love to see these values kept in their own custom fields, because by separating them into the custom fields, they will always have the same format. And for example, you'll keep the story points in a numeric value, or you will not keep them in like a word value, like we had a case where that was happening, and you had to think of ways how to transform words into numbers, which is not so easy when you want to analyze it. So unstructured data is also difficult to manage and search through. For example, if you have summaries that have the client name somewhere in the middle there, how can you search for all of the issues for this client? You could have used curly this line to search for summary that kind of holds this value maybe. It's difficult to manage it in the long run. So it's also prone to human errors. If you allow any values to be entered in a field, any values will be entered in the field sooner or later. And it's complicated to analyze. If you have your data structured into fields, it's just click and import and you have everything ready. If you don't have it structured, you have to transform it a bit. But at eazyBI, we recognize that there may be use cases when you have these kind of formats for the summaries or other fields, that you keep a bunch of data in one field or a bunch of information. It's some legacy workflows, some well-established workflows that the change is too scary, and we'll just leave it as is. No worries, we have the tools to transform this data to make it analyzable. So there are 2 main tools in eazyBI that you can use to transform your data. The first tool, you don't even need to open the settings. You just need to click the new report button, expand the measures dimension, and click the define new calculated measures. Yes. So if you have imported this blob of data in eazyBI, you can kind of cut it and splice it and split it to retrieve the necessary value. The second tool is JavaScript custom calculated custom fields that was mentioned a couple of times today, which is actually in some cases the more preferred one, because the main difference between these two is that in the first case, when you are using the calculated measures, as Walter's already mentioned, you actually take the unstructured data from Jira, you import the unstructured data in eazyBI, and only in the report itself, the report engine has to crunch the data and transform it to a usable format. And this can take a bit of resources to do it. So it's better in some cases to use the JavaScript calculated custom fields, where the transformation of the data happens during the import process. When we take the blob of data from Jira, we transform it with the JavaScript code, and we store the clean data in the database so it's instantly accessible to you in the reports. There are two places where you can create JavaScript calculated custom fields. If you listened closely, and I think everyone listened closely to Robert, then the first and the newest place is the account-specific one that you can create in the import options. And the second one is the global settings, which we all know is the eazyBI advanced settings. So let's go through a step-by-step process how to recognize the data and how to figure out the logic how we can retrieve the actual data. So we have our unpopular issue on our unpopular epic that has everything in it, a bit messy. There is some structure to it, but we would like to analyze more from it. We see that there's the summary that has everything in it, the overused labels, and one of the most common examples of unstructured data in any systems is the comments, because how can you even structure comments? But there may be cases when you want to extract some information in comments when the comments are used for some specific workflows in your Jira. So, but before we retrieve the data, we need to understand how eazyBI sees the Jira issue. And the best way how to see it is to go to the source data, additional options, and add JavaScript code button. This is a place where you can input JavaScript code that we're not going to cover today, but you can transform some data in this section as well, but you cannot create new calculated custom fields here. But this place is the great one for testing, for seeing how eazyBI sees the issue and also testing your JavaScript code. So when you open this and you put in issue key there and click the show button, you'll see the JSON file. All Jira issues are stored in this format, in the JSON file. And we can see that there's our summary here. There's also, the summary is, as you can see, saved in a text format, just a simple line of text. The labels are saved in an array of values, and the comment section is down there below as well. So, how can we catch the labels? To catch the labels, we should first reference the issue itself. So we tell in the JavaScript language, you say, okay, we'll take the issue, then we'll go down to the fields section, because all of the fields that we're interested in is in the fields section. You do it with issue.fields, and then .labels. You can get to the, when you use this code in JavaScript, it will return you the array with the values in the labels section. So now that we know how to catch it, let's try to transform some of this data. Let's start out with the labels. For example, there could be a use case where you would like to really fast, in a fast manner, acquire issues that are done by team 1 and that are in the midterm duration. You can do this in two ways, with the MDX code and also in the JavaScript code. So, but the MDX code, it has to iterate through all of the issues in the report account to actually match for both of these labels at the same time, as labels is a multi-level, multi-value field. So this can prove challenging if you have a global account where you have a lot of issues. So selection by these two labels can be very resourceful. So the best way to approach this would be to pre-calculate and assign a certain value to all of the issues that has both the team1 label and the midterm label attached to it. So any JavaScript code that you will write in the advanced settings, I will cover only the advanced settings. Any JavaScript code that you write in eazyBI advanced settings consists of two parts. The first one is the parameters that you need to specify. You need to specify the internal name of the field, how eazyBI will recognize it, the display name, what's the type of the data, and also additional parameters. In this case, we would like to use this as a dimension as well. And then you have the JavaScript code part where you can basically do anything. Starting off, we'll do a bit of an optimization, and we'll start off and check only those issues that have at least two labels. We're not interested in those issues that don't have labels or that have only one label. If you would like to filter out only issues that have the team1 and midterm labels and nothing else, then you can actually match it to return issues that have exactly two labels and match these two. So, and there are a couple of functions that you can use here. The indexOf function is one of the most effective one. And you can search through the labels field and check if it has the team1 label and if it has the midterm label. If all these three conditions are true, then your newly created field will be assigned with whichever value you choose. You can give it whichever name you want. You can also bring in else statements as well, and for example, create additional members for team2 or for other durations. Head over to the Jira import options in the this step, of course, save the advanced settings, or otherwise you'll lose everything. Save the advanced settings and move over to the Jira import options, and your newly created field with the same name as you can see here, team term labels, will be available here for import. Select it, trigger the import, wait for it to finish, and you'll have this dimension, newly created dimension, in the dimensions section under the custom field section that you can use in your reports. In this example, we can use it as a page filter, and you can see that all of these issues have this label and also other labels. We didn't specify only for these two labels, so it includes also other labels. So this is a quick way how to get all of these issues together in one selection by combining these two labels. So let's try to extract some data from also the summary field. The summary field, as we see, it has this type of work, it has the client name, and it also has the duration. Let's extract the clients. If in the first example we knew which values exactly to look for, because in the JavaScript code we told explicitly search for the team1 and search for the midterm labels. Here we don't know what are the possible client values that we can have, because the client values change and we don't want to keep the JavaScript field always update it constantly. So we would like to create a code that could be a bit more universal to find this exact value. So let's look at all of the issues that we have that have the summary that follows this logic. You could call it semi-unstructured. It's not completely unstructured. It has some structure to it. That's good. So, and we can see that every fourth word is the client, but oh no, the fifth word is the client. Okay, that logic doesn't work here. So what else can we see here? We can see that every time the client name is used, it's surrounded by the 4 client name, client words. So we can use these keywords to find the value. And if we can search for these 2 keywords, then we can basically, to extract only this value, we need to erase everything that comes before it and erase everything that comes after it. In the MDX language, it's also possible. it's not very intuitive to write this. There could be better examples. This is the one that I came up with. You can extract it from the issue caption by searching for the specific client and the 4 keywords. But you can do it quicker in JavaScript with even fewer lines of code. So let's look at this. First of all, let's save the summary field, the value of the summary field in a local variable. Then we can search if this summary field actually contains the keyword client, because we'll trust that all of the fields that have the word client will have also the client name. And then we can use, again, you need to match the internal name of the field to assign the value to it. And in the summary, let's replace, with the help of the regular expression, let's replace everything that matches the word for and everything that comes before it, and matches the word client and everything that comes after it. Let's replace it with nothing. Basically delete it. Import that as a dimension, and now we have the client dimension available, and now we can see that epics are sorted by this client dimension, and you can quickly find all of the issues that belong to this one client, which if you imported only the summary field, you could never do that, because each of these summaries are in a way unique, and the summary dimension would be filled with unique members that don't attribute to anything. So the last example for today is the comment section. A lot of valuable information can be stored in the comments. There's also a possibility to check the values in the comments, to search through the comments. But to keep this rather simple, let's just count how many comments has each user commented. And to make this count of comments a bit more insightful, let's map it together with the time dimension and also the assignee dimension. Because the comments are made by users, and there's not one explicit user dimension. However, there is the assignee dimension, and we can use this dimension and the user key from the comment to match these users together and map these values to the assignee dimension. So here we define a new array where we will keep all of the values. We save in a local variable all of the comments. We check if there are any comments. If there are any comments, then we save all of those, because the comment section is like a never-ending comments, tree of nonsense. So we keep the comments in the local variable as well. Then we use any kind of for loop that you like. JavaScript has a couple of them. I like the old school version better with the indexes. And let's iterate through all of the comments. If there is an author name, then let's add this information to our empty array. And in the information, we include the date that this comment is created, together with the key of the author, together with the number 1, which is like a comment counter in this case. You can find this in documentation as well. When you're mapping to multiple dimensions, this is the order in which you need to push these values. When you have all of these values pushed to the array, you can again push all of these values up to the newly created custom field. And when opening a report, as we saw here, that this time we're not creating a dimension, we're using this as a measure. We have the measure true, and when selecting the measure in the measures dimension, we can then use also the assignee dimension in rows and time dimension in columns, and we will have all of these counts mapped to these dimensions as well. So we can see how many comments has each user commented in which time period. Yeah, so the key takeaways that I would like to leave you with today is please take care of your data in Jira. It's gonna be ease of mind to you in the long term. It's gonna provide you with consistent data in the long term. But if you for some reason have some kind of unstructured data, don't worry, eazyBI has you covered. You can use the measures, you can use the custom fields to transform the data. And most importantly, have fun finding the useful data insights, because there's a certain feeling of satisfaction when you finally manage to write the JavaScript code that extracts exactly the thing that you want. Yeah, thank you.